On a stormy night, long past midnight, two young women knocked on John's door. They said they only needed to use his phone to call a friend. John, an architect living alone while his wife and kids were away on vacation, felt uneasy at first, but seeing the two strangers soaked, shivering, and clearly exhausted, his suspicion slowly faded into sympathy. Before stepping inside, they even took off their shoes so they wouldn't dirty the floor. A polite gesture that made John think they were well-mannered. He offered them towels and robes to warm up, then helped them make the call using his tablet. From their conversation, he learned that their destination was on the other side of town. Since John's house was quite remote, their driver wouldn't arrive for another 5 minutes or so. One of them politely asked if she could use the dryer to warm her clothes. John hesitated for a moment, then agreed and went to make them some hot coffee. But when he returned to the living room, the scene had changed. The women were sitting comfortably on his sofa, listening to his vinyl player, chatting and laughing with his dog as if they'd known each other for years. They talked for a while. The women said they were tourists who'd missed the last bus and were stranded in the storm. When they learned that John was spending Father's Day alone, their tone softened. They moved closer, one sitting on his right, the other on his left, their arms gently resting on his shoulders. John tried to keep his distance, but the air grew heavier, more suggestive. When the car was only minutes away, he excused himself to the laundry room to fetch their clothes. But when he returned, they were gone. Only soft, playful laughter echoed from the bathroom. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Under their teasing smiles and whispers, John lost control of himself. Outside, the driver eventually gave up waiting and canceled the pickup. The next morning, John woke up feeling confused and guilty. He thought they had left until he heard noises coming from the kitchen. To his shock, the two women were still there. The kitchen was a mess, and worse, they had vandalized his wife's art pieces, the ones she'd been preparing for an upcoming exhibition. Furious, John shouted at them to leave and threatened to call the police. But they only smiled coldly and said, "If you call them, we'll tell them what happened last night." Panic spread through John's chest. Still, he decided to call the police anyway. Realizing their bluff wouldn't work, the women calmly gathered their things and walked out. John spent hours cleaning the house, hoping that the nightmare was finally over. But that night, when the house fell silent again, he heard a faint sound from the living room. A family photo had fallen from the wall. Its frame shattered, and from behind him,